Okay, in the previous chapter, we were able to program this so that the user can enter the grades. Now, we are going to add one more option for the user to be able to list all the grades that the user has entered. Let's say print list grades, and then we're going to call this option as 2, right? When the user enters 2, we have got to be able to list out all the grades that the user has entered. Okay. If int of choice equals 2, then let's just print out the grades. How do you print out all the grades that have been entered into this list? Simple. You iterate through the list and print out each of the elements, right? So how do you iterate through a loop? You can use the while loop, or for loop is much faster. Faster in terms of, creating the syntax. For grade in grades, print grade. Simple, right? So let's try this. Okay, 1. Let's enter some grades. 4.0, 3.6, 2.5, 2.1, and then E to exit. Now list the grades. So option is number 2. Number 2 is to list the grades. Okay, let's see. There you go. 4.0, 3.6, 2.5, 2.1. That means that the grades that we have entered are stored safely in that list. Okay, so we have programmed this part. Now let's look at the next part, which is to delete grades, right? So how do you delete a grade? Well, it's something like this. We have this list, a sequence of grades, and then we should let the user pick a grade, say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's the index, right? We should be able to let the user pick an index of a grade, say the 3rd index, and then delete it. So the first part would be, let the user pick a grade via the index, and part 2 would be to pop that grade, of course via the index. So 2 parts, let the user pick a grade, number 2, pop that grade out, which is to remove that grade from the list. Okay, let's try that. Okay, print. Okay, let's exit from this program. Delete grades, option is 3. Okay, when the user selects 3, so the first part is to let the user pick a grade, right? So index equals the index that we want to remove. Index equals input of int of input of enter the index. Okay, and before we do that, let's just print out all the grades so that the user knows which index to delete. Okay, so we print out all the grades and then say enter the index to delete. Say the user has entered 3, right, and there are 5 in that list. So all we have to do is delete that grade, right? How do you delete that grade? We say grades dot pop of index. Now it's very crude. The user could enter some junk. What happens then? The user could enter an index of 10 while there are just 5 grades in that list. We have not taken care of that yet. It's a very crude version, but it will work if the user enters the right data. Let's try that. Okay, let the user enter grades. Option 1, 4.0, 3.0, 2.0, 1.0, just 4 grades, right? Now we can quickly list it, 2, and then let delete the grades. option 3. Enter the index to delete. Say we want to delete 3. Okay. What's the index of that? The index of 4.3 is 0. This is 1, 2, 3. Right. So if we wanted to delete 3.0, the index will be 1. Okay. Enter. Okay. We don't know if it's deleted or not. We can quickly check it by selecting the list grades option, number 2. Okay, 4.3321. Now 3 is gone, right? This is gone, right? So there are just 3 grades now. So delete grades works. Now let's exit this program. Now this is not robust yet, but we can make it very robust by putting in some controls. Like what? For example, the user enters an index. What if the index is out of bounds of that list? How do you check that? What I mean to say is, say there are 5 different elements, right? 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 in the index. If the user enters 7 to be deleted, what happens? What happens if we try it? Let's actually try it in the system. Let's say the 10th index. Oops, index out of range. Makes sense, right? Meaning, if we are trying to pop something that's out of range, something that's not there, how does it work? Python says index out of range. Now, how do you solve this problem? The first thing to do is to make sure the user entered input is not beyond the length minus 1 of that list. Minus 1 because the indexing of a list always starts with 0. So, what do you do? If index greater than length of grades minus 1, then that doesn't work. That means it's got to be less, right? If it is less, do the job, else print invalid index, try again, right? Now for those of you who can think just a little bit further, you probably already realize that what if the user enters a minus 20? That's still an invalid index for this list. So it's not just necessary that the index be less than the length, it's also necessary that the index be greater than or equal to 0. So there are 2 constraints. The first constraint we have already programmed. The second constraint we're going to program now. If index less than length of grades minus 1 and index greater than or equal to 0, only then do the popping, otherwise don't do it, right? Okay, let's try it now. Okay, enter the grades. 1.0, 2.0, just 3 grades. Okay, now we want to delete. Say we want to delete 2.0. Well, we could do it by selecting this option. But say let's enter 10 as the index to be deleted, which is not available. So delete grades, that's the option. And enter the index to delete, say 10. Well, in this case 10 might be available. 4.3, 2.0, there are 9. Okay, 10 will not work. Enter the index to delete 10. Invalid index, try again. So that's a more gracious way of exiting the program. Okay, so that works. You can also make sure that the index is greater than 0. Try it with a negative number. That should work too, right? Okay, so we have done enter, we have done delete, we have done exit. We didn't do update yet. We didn't do clear yet. We didn't calculate average. Let's do the update program. How to update a particular element or grade in that list. So how do you update? So let's take a list again, a list of grades. starting with index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. Now the user has to select an index just like the way the deletion has happened, and then it doesn't end there. Instead, the user has also got to provide a new value. For example, if it is 4.0, 3.1, 2.4. So the user wants to update the result of this at index 3 with 3.4. So there are two things that the user needs to provide. First, provide an index to be updated. Two, provide the new value. So 3.4 will be pushed into this slot. Okay, how do we do that? Okay, let's put one more choice. Okay, let's exit this program. Okay, let's provide one more option. Update grades for. Okay, what if the user enters 4? Okay, most of this is going to remain the same if the choice is 4. Okay, so first we print out the grade so that the user can select things. So enter the index to update, not delete. Okay, so in this if statement we check whether it's a valid input. If it is, then we ask the user to enter a valid grade. So new underscore grade equals float, because the user enters a grade, right? It could be a floating point. Float input of the new grade, right? Then grades of index equals new grade. We're not going to pop, so remove this statement. How does this work? Does it work? So what have we done here? So there is this list 0, 1, 2, 3. Over here we are just trying to print the grades in the list like 4.0, 3.1, 3.2, 3.5, right? So over here we just list them like so: 4.0, 3.1, 3.2, 3.5. So which one do you want to pop, or which one do you want to upgrade or update? Say we want to update this, right? So this is 0, 1, 2, second index. So enter the index to update. The user enters 2, and 2 is stored here in this index. Now if it is a valid index, not out of bounds, then get the new grade from the user. Okay, you want to update this, very good. What do you want to update it with? Okay, I want to update it with 3.5. Okay, that's what we're going to get here, the new input, right? And finally, grades of index, meaning grades of 2, which is this, is going to be replaced with the new grade. Make sense? Let's try this. Okay, first we have to enter the grades. Enter grades, just 3 grades. Okay, now we want to upgrade this grade, the second in the list, but by index it's going to be 1, first index. So update grade option 4, enter the index to update. The index to update is 3.0, which will be the first index. Index is 1, and what will be the new value? 3.5. We want to change 3.0 to 3.5. Let's try that. Okay, looks like it's done. Now let's list the grades. 2, right? See, 3.0 has been changed to 3.5. So we are done with upgrades.